I've never owned a car where I cared about the lug nuts before. I've been thinking about swapping out my rims for winter storage. The PS4S tires are considered very finicky, and so my garage may get below -7, which Michelin does warn that they could crack. So I'm toying with either rolling it up onto some styrofoam blocks, basically subfloor with styrofoam. You can get them at Home Depot for, in Canada, about $8 a piece. And there are people in Winnipeg that have done this with PS4S tires on Porsches and stuff, and they've had no flat spotting and they've had no cracking. But you do really have to leave it there until it gets warm in spring again, because they say don't add air, don't move it, don't look at it nastily. That might be not on the real part, but kind of serious. So I sort of thought, well, how am I gonna get these lug nuts off? They're black. I really like them. I don't want to really wreck them. So the first thing I knew was definitely get a 6-sided socket, which all my sockets are. Don't go for multi-tooth sockets, because there will be wear and tear on the edges of the nut. So I started looking around, and this is the Casoman 22mm protective socket, and I thought, well, the outside's got some plastic that'll protect the wheel, and I kind of thought the inside would have something on it as well, but it's really just a regular socket, but it does have little pieces on it between the flat spots that at least the edges of the nut will go in there and you may not have any damage. So there are people on the internet that have said, hey, just use a regular socket and just stick a plastic bag into the socket, and then you won't wreck the socket and you won't wreck the outside. But the plastic bag sometimes tears, and they say you should double the plastic bag. So I have another solution. This is one of these El Crapo reusable bags. It's a really thin one, and I think this is the exact thing I need. And so let's try out this item to take off one of my lug nuts and put it back on, torque it back up, and see if she works. All right, so I'm going to simply stick it into the hole there, put it on a lug nut, goes on there nicely. Looks kind of dumb. Looks like it's going for a wedding or something. All right, so breaker bar. Let's try this out. Okay. The rest I'm just going to do by hand because I've got time. I guess they say this is supposed to also work for impact drivers. And da-da-da-da, looks like there's nothing wrong with it. Looks pretty good. No scratches, nothing. So if I do swap these out to maybe some Acura MDX or Pilot 18-inch rims, if I can find a nice set before the snow flies. The car is inside for now, for sure, and my garage is insulated, so it will not get cold probably till January, where I can't move it anymore. Or if I just have, basically, then I'll use this socket, and I think it'll work out just fine. There are some people on the internet that have talked about some drawbacks of this socket, it being maybe a bit fragile and it cracking with regular use, especially with impact drivers. It's supposed to be impact friendly, but I guess we'll find out. I'm just going to take, if I'm going to remove these and put on other rims, then it'll be once in the spring and once in the fall. So we'll see what happens. And the people that have had trouble, most of them have had great customer service, and they've had another socket delivered within a couple days. In fact, one person had, I believe, like a nice 4-set given to them with 4 sockets by Casoman. So there you go. Okay, that's the Casoman socket. It is cool, and yeah, I'm happy so far. So to torque these down, I had to go check in the manual, and it seemed really low, 80 foot-pounds. It's like, that seems really low, especially for big lug nuts. And so again, search on the internet, lots of controversy. FK8 had 94 foot-pounds, and all of a sudden the manuals are saying 80. So I checked my manual and 80 foot-pounds on the 2024 manual. And the 2023 already was considered wrong, and they did not fix the manual. The Honda dealerships on their electronic database or their manual on the manual says exactly the same as the FK8 was, 94 foot-pounds. And even other places say if you've got the M14 nuts, it should be 94 foot-pounds. And yet here we are, it's the manual at 80. So do not listen to that, make sure it's 94, and you can go from there.